Hello everyone and welcome to another excellent edition of Bench Boosts FPL. I think me and Danny are smiling from ear to ear this week because it was a very good week for both of us. One slightly better than the other, as usual. I'll let you decide who that was. But yeah, great one again. And yeah, if you're not following us on Twitter at Bench Boosts FPL, please follow us.
Yep, and again, thanks for checking us out on YouTube. As always, like and subscribe while we're here.
All right, so let's just jump right in. I feel like it was a very successful double game week. I feel that a few weeks ago, the worries about playing your wild card early have been mitigated, I would say. Yeah, a lot of people complaining about playing a wild card early, how it put them in the muck, but I think our boy here's shown that it's not all bad. So talk us through your massive 137 score.
Yeah, I think whenever I played my wild card in game week 26, and I got a red arrow that week, and I was a little bit worried that it might have been too early or whatever, but it's worked out. I've had green arrows every week since, and the whole point of playing it then, I think you played it, maybe 1 or 2 weeks later?
Yeah, 20.
And the whole point was just to build up to this week and try and get the best score possible in bench boost, which I'm pretty happy with that. I think we spoke like on Friday or whatever, what realistically I was looking for, and I was just sort of like 102 points will get me to the 2000 club, and then realistically I'd kind of worked out what I expect each player to get, and about 130 was the high benchmark that I was looking for. So to get 137, it worked out. Yeah, I'll scroll this down so we can see the bench. So bench boost, like I see a lot of people talking about, oh, I've got X amount in the bench. Like I feel like it doesn't give a right representation of what your bench actually would have been if you weren't playing bench boost this week, because I think if I wasn't playing bench boost, I might have played Tony. I probably wouldn't have had Castagna in there, but tactically I put some of the players that I thought were going to get me a good scores on the bench just to make it look a bit better. So 25, 34, 42 points on the bench. Yes, success. But it's all about your main score here. So yeah, 137 in the rank. I've cracked the top 1K now, 658th in the world out of
wild, mate.
11 million players. So whatever that percentage is, tiny.
I genuinely can't fathom it. I mean, I feel like we don't talk about it enough, and I feel like you should be tweeting about this. I feel like it's such a great.
I don't want to jinx it.
I know, but it's, you know, we were talking about it earlier on. Like, where are you in Scotland again? The Scotland overall one.
15th.
15th for the whole of Scotland. Like,
yeah, I don't know how many players that is, but it's a lot.
When have you ever been 15th at the whole of Scotland for anything? You know what I mean?
I know, never. It's good.
Yeah.
So yeah, a good game week. I think the only like saying there's a downside is that, so I done my obvious transfer, which I really wanted to get Maddison in. And then for Martinelli, that one was, and then I was toying for ages about doing a -4 Saka to Fernandes or Zinchenko to Shaw. In the end, either of them wouldn't have really been great because Shaw got a 1 pointer and got injured, and Fernandes only got 4 points. So that -4 was a bit disappointing, but I was kind of wanting to get Fernandes to set up for having him for doubles. But I'm kind of maybe changing my tactics now. I might remove him soonish. And keep my free hit for later. So that was the only kind of thing, was I expected bigger things from Fernandes. I tweeted early last week, watch this space, Saka's going to outscore Fernandes this week. And then I just got a bit of FOMO from a lot of content creators and different people we follow on Twitter that were bigging up Fernandes, even without Casemiro. And I got slightly caught in that trap. But there's been a few times, especially last season, I was wanting to get Fernandes and I didn't, and he went big in a double game week earlier this season. So I was like, I kind of talked myself into it.
You need to watch that FOMO, mate. That information overdrive. Do you know what I mean?
I really did think he was going to do well. I thought Man United would have performed better in this double, but they really didn't. But thankfully, the rest of the team sort of patched that up, and the McAllister captain pick wasn't that bad, really. A lot of people were saying Rashford was the best captain pick, but I'm only 3 points down if I'd picked Rashford over McAllister. Matoma was really the right pick, which your boy went for.
I mean, that definitely the success story for me was. I'm really frustrated though, because Cash took that injury just before literally just before this game week started, and he was definitely going to be out, and I had to transfer him out. And obviously, I brought Shaw in just to because I thought Shaw was a better option, but I'm really frustrated about it because I feel like if Cash hadn't got injured, Aston Villa were great during that double game week, and it would have been nice to have. I think I seen somebody had like Mings or something, and he got like 12 points. It would have been great to have. I'm sure Cash would have got those 2 clean sheets, and it was 2 clean sheets, wasn't it? And maybe an assist or something like that. And it was genuinely, lost that goal. It was frustrating, really frustrating. But other than that, I can't complain. Like I was expecting around about 120. Possibly with this bench boost, so 133 is like above and beyond. Like it's put me 53 points ahead of the average. So really happy. Loads of green arrows. Continuing on that upwards journey, as we say, green arrows in every league I'm in. And I'm up to 172,000 overall. So at the start of the season, if me or you had said we were going to get to 172,000 out of 11 million, we'd probably have been quite chuffed. It's just that you're having an absolute stonker of a season, mate. That's putting me a little in the shade. But yeah, late push, really happy with it. Delighted by Matoma, mate. Like a few people I saw, like I think we talked about it as well, that a few people were trying to talk me out of it, and a lot of people mentioning that there were better options. But I'm really glad that I stuck to my guns and got the benefit of that. Probably the only disappointment was the Arsenal lads, but realistically, what can you do? Do you know what I mean? I didn't really expect Jesus to come back so quickly and absolutely smash it. Could be a future target, I would say. But
I think really on that though, I think you've got a small win by holding on to them, because so many people sold Martinelli, Saka, and Odegaard, or Gabriel, Zinchenko last week. I've got only Zinchenko left, and I'm already a little bit like, I kind of want Saka or Martinelli back. I want to have one of them, or Jesus if I can fit him in. So you've got your Arsenal triple up, who they have a fixture in blank game week 32, so people are going to be clambering back for them. They'll probably beat Liverpool at the weekend, and everyone will be wanting all of them back. So that's a small win, even though they didn't get you that many points in a double game week. Well, it was only a single game week for them. I think it's good that you've still got them.
Yeah, I had a moment of fear. We were down in Liverpool at the weekend for a stag do, and watching Salah score that goal gave me just a little twinge. I just had a feeling that maybe they're going to repeat their heroics against Man City, but straight away getting a yellow card straight after made me feel slightly better. And then, not that I'm a fan of Man City or Liverpool really, but getting a new kind of hold tearing in them just looked a bit kind of crazy. I mean, the eye test, what were you thinking about Grealish? You know what I mean? I think like that was interesting to see. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of him as a player, but he looked pretty good in that game. So it could be a wee bit of a talking point that we have at in the next section.
I was always going to say on that is like I didn't watch the full game, but when I watched the match today, I feel like that's the best I've seen Grealish play for Man City. It reminded me of how he was against Liverpool for Aston Villa. Remember that game during COVID that Aston Villa won 7-2? I think Grealish scored twice, got like 3 assists. Like one of those games where he just like took it by the scruff of the neck and he was like, I'm going to be the best player on the pitch today. I don't care what people say. And he was brilliant. So it's just the consistency, whether he's going to keep doing that. And then also Pep, you know what he's like. We see Mahrez get like a wee run and be the player to go, and then all of a sudden he's out of the team. So I don't know, worried.
Yeah, I worry as well about Haaland affecting that as well when he comes back, because not that I'm one of these people that thinks City are better for Haaland or any of that nonsense. Like they're clearly not, but it does change the shape of the team and the way that they sort of play. And I wonder if that would affect. It's probably one of those ones that I would suggest keeping an eye on going forward. They're definitely. I think Grealish is one of those ones that he never seems to be in anybody's like videos, but he's beginning to sort of creep in a wee bit now, So it would be interesting.
Been transferred in by 130,000 already, even though they've got a blank coming up. So Southampton and then Leicester in a blank. Like
it's just that run after is very, very sexy. After they probably holding on until that point,
Yeah, we're going to be jumping on triple City, I think, soon. It really depends on your free hit strategy. If you still got free hit left, if you're free hitting here, you could get on your City players just now. If you're not free hitting in 32, then you probably want to wait until 33 or 34 and start going after them. But yeah, those fixtures look great, and we'll see what happens in the Champions League. If they get put out by Bayern, then that frees them up to really focus in the league. But if they stay in the Champions League, then you just worry about that rotation. Like, is he going to keep his best players for the Champions League?
I don't think they'll beat Bayern, to be honest. I mean, no, I said I don't think they'll lose to Bayern. Sorry, not get beat, but I think Bayern look a bit edgy recently in terms of form, and City just look so convincing against both Leipzig and Liverpool. So definitely interesting to see. And you know how much Haaland loves playing against German teams, so it'll be interesting to see how they get on. But yeah, definitely worth keeping an eye on. So talking about the old free hit, I think it does feel a bit. I like the idea that you're already forward planning right after the double game week. But let's have just a quick summary of like what your plans are. Are you? And I know you maybe had an idea, maybe not to do it, but yeah, I mean, you're always thinking ahead as usual. But
yeah,
what's your thoughts?
So whenever I done the wild card in 26, the plan was the bench boost in 29 and then potentially free hit in 32, depending on, we'll see where my squad sort of settles. And I think where it's settled at the moment, I can see that I can get to 32. Oh, it doesn't show you in this it's just on the app, it's easy to see. But I think I can get to 11 players just with a -4 between now and 32. 11 good players that I like. I'm not just cramming the squad full of players that I don't need. So I feel like right now I'm going to try and navigate it that way. I could keep the free hit and then in 32 play like I think I would get a couple of Arsenal back. I would probably have somebody like Mings, keep a hold of Watkins. Brentford have got a couple of Brentford players, so they've got a good fixture against Villa. I would possibly have Andreas Pereira. I'm looking at him. That's a good fixture against Leeds. And then the rest of the team would be filled up with Harry Kane. Can't really remember the rest of my squads from Newcastle as well. So it'd be a good enough 11. And then I would feel like potentially attacking double game week 34.
It should be tasty.
The free hit, exactly, because we've got Brighton with 2 home fixtures. Fulham we would ignore. We've got Liverpool and we've got City. And Man United, all with double game weeks, West Ham as well, but only one of them is a decent sort of fixture. So I feel like that could be an opportunity to do triple Man United, triple Man City, triple Liverpool. That's maybe overcommitting in just 3 teams, but it seems right now, the way my team is, that's kind of what I want to do. I feel like a lot of people are going to free hit in 32, so I don't think I need to. I think some people will have 7 or 8 or 9 blankers in their team for that just now, so it's needed, but I don't think I need to, so I'm quite keen to hold on to it.
I mean, I think from when we talked about earlier on, like not playing, when I didn't play the wild card and everybody else did, and then playing it later, it made me kind of realise the benefit of not really worrying about losing a tiny bit of ground maybe one week, and then, you know, if you can see an opportunity further down the line, you think you could really strike. And, you know, I lost ground in some of my mini leagues by not wildcarding at the same time as everybody else. But then it's sort of worked out. I mean, I think, don't get me wrong, I probably got lucky with that a little bit based on the fact that my team did so well even without the wildcard. But it's still interesting, that idea that maybe just taking that opportunity to, you know, sit back and go, do I really need to play it? Am I just playing it because it's the easy option, or can I use it, like you say, further down the line to attack, you know, a double game week? It's a really good shout. So what about this week? I mean, I think my problem is going to have to be straight into getting rid of the bold Shaw, probably, depending on how long he's out for. I mean, it's not, I don't desperately need to get rid of him, but it could be an option. And then obviously we've got the conundrum of bringing in certain players as well. So, for example, you know, do you want to bring Salah back? You obviously want to bring Haaland back. How do we navigate this point? You know, like, what's your thoughts? Is there anybody you're desperately looking at, or are you kind of happy with what you've got?
I need to wait on the presser tomorrow for Pep to talk about Haaland, because everybody's going to jump back on him. Obviously, he has been back in training. If Pep comes out and says he's definitely fit, I feel like you can't go without Haaland, especially with Southampton and Leicester in the next 2 games, 2 teams that are just struggling. You know what I'm like though? Like, something about Haaland that I just can't be bothered with. Like I like it when he's not in the team. But it looks like if he's going to be fit, then I need to get him back in. I can't be in the position I'm in and not have the top scoring player in the game with 2 easy fixtures. He does have form behind him as well just now. So I think it would be Tony to Haaland, which was always the plan from planning weeks and weeks ago. Tony didn't get his yellow card, so he's not suspended. The only thing is, if I want to do that, I need to do a -4. Unfortunately, my last-minute move to do Fernandes in for Saka last week left me with not enough funds. I knew it was going to happen, but I thought Fernandes was going to go big, as I said. So it would be Tony to Haaland, and then I need to free up, I think, 0.4 million somewhere else. And there's a lot of options.
What about, obviously, you're sitting there with the old Kane. I mean, is Kane an option there for you to switch out for Haaland, or are you just not interested in that?
I don't think so. Not at the moment. I feel like he's consistent and he is getting me decent rank rewards. Every time he's scoring points, I think he's getting me sort of like I'm getting like 30% out of it, which is decent. So I'm kind of like I still want to have him. Some okay fixtures coming up as well. Maybe whenever we come to later on in a few weeks, whenever I probably want to get on Salah, I don't think I'll be able to have Kane, Haaland, and Salah. I did it through the season, and it's doable, but you're having to sacrifice elsewhere. So I think I would sacrifice him for Salah later on, but just now, I don't think I would do it for the sake of. I just feel like if I done Kane to Haaland, and not a -4, then Tony will end up blanking and he'll get booked, and then he'll be my problem next week anyway. So I'm like, I might as well just do that. And there's plenty of options for this -4. I don't mind taking the -4. It's been working for me. I'm thinking about potentially McAllister to Andreas. Andreas has got some good fixtures. He'll now be on penalties with Mitrovic being missing. There's an option. Fernandes has obviously annoyed me by not playing that great. He's been playing very deep in the last 2 games. He blanks in 32. So if I'm wanting to do what I just said I'm going to do and not play my free hit in 32, I need to start moving out some of my blankers, and he'd be one of them. Chilwell is an option.
He's a right blanker.
He is an absolute blanker. I don't want to remove a player that's got a fixture in 32. Chilwell doesn't, but I feel like I could move him on next week because I think that's quite a tasty fixture for Chelsea. I could do Kepa to Steele. I think Steele's going to keep his place with Brighton, so I could have Raya and Steele for my 2 goalkeepers for the rest of the season. I quite like that.
He did get an assist. He did get an assist recently, so
that pass was cracking. Henry could go, but he's got a fixture in 32. Zinchenko could go, he's got a fixture in 32. So it's really between, if I want to get Haaland, I need to sacrifice either McAllister, Fernandes, Chilwell, or Kepa. I think. You know what,
so is that your main focus then, is getting Haaland back into the team for this week?
I think so. I feel like that Coy tomorrow, he's not going to give us a dynamite, concrete answer. He's just going to be like, he's back in training, but we will assess, that kind of rubbish. So, but everyone's going to be transferring them in, I think. And like I said, I'm in this position where I've not captained Haaland before when he scored hat-tricks, and it's kind of bit me a bit. I would rather have him and maybe not captain him, but I think if I brought him in, I would maybe captain him. I don't know. It's that FOMO, but this is a big one with Haaland, but I just don't think I can go without him if he's going to be playing. However, I'm worried about it, and I'm feeling like maybe the anti-Haaland Danny of most of the season, where I've gone against him as captain, should listen to himself, because I've got this feeling that with the 2 Bayern games coming up, they've got some spicier fixtures coming up as well. Could he maybe just be on the bench? Like, they've got Arsenal as well, and I'm sure they've got a cup game, semi-final FA Cup maybe. Yeah, they do. So they've got tough fixtures around these. Could he get benched for that one game when they play Alvarez?
I think as well. It is an enticing game, but as we've seen recently, he's not. He could go and score 4 goals. Let's not lie, but there is a call that he could end up just scoring a goal, and that's it. He's not going to get any more points than, say, someone else who scores a goal in another game. So I think you are right. Over the 2 games, you would want to have him in, but then does he give you the headache further down the line? They blank in the blank game week, don't they, City?
Yeah, they do.
So does that give you another headache further down the line as well? Like, are you better waiting till after that Arsenal game?
Aye. Ideally,
it's 4 game weeks. How much points are you going to lose?
Aye.
You know, is he really going to scalp you? Is he really going to hurt you? I mean, he could. He really could. It's Haaland, but you are right. There's a lot of talk. You know, he's coming back from injury. He's got, you know, two big games against Munich that he'll definitely be playing in, because they're definitely targeting the Champions League. So I think it's a very valid point. I mean, I'm not getting him back in just now. I'm not desperate. I'm going to hold off, just purely for the idea that there's just maybe other wee tweaks that I want to make in my team first. So, but yeah, it's definitely an interesting point. He is one of those players that is jumping out straight away, obviously.
I mean, like, ideally, I don't want to bring him back in. What I was thinking at the start of the week, and you know, my mind chops and changes as every day goes by. I was like, I want to roll the transfer, because I was convinced he was just not going to start this game against Southampton. But then we seen yesterday on Wednesday that he was in training. So now I'm starting to be like, is he going to start? But what I would like him, if Pep was to be like, or if we didn't see him in training this week, I'd be like, nah, I'm no way bringing him back in. I'll just risk it and hope that he's on the bench. He doesn't do anything against Southampton. And then I'm happy to go without him for 1 game week. If it was just Leicester, then a blank, I would 100% be like, I'm not going to. It's just the fact we've seen him in training now that I'm sort of at a 50-50. But what I'd love to do is just roll and then not bring him in next week. And then like you're saying, I'm not bringing in a player that's blanking anyway, because if I bring him in, then I need to get rid of someone else somewhere before 32. Like Chilwell, Fernandez, one of the Brighton boys. So yeah, we'll see. I'm going to see what he says tomorrow. I'm going to look at some of the stats in sort of like the top 10k and things like that, just to see where he's owned, and just do a bit of research to see how much it would hurt me if he was to start and he was to score some goals. And if it's not going to be massive, which it probably won't be, then I'll probably be the same as you and just go without him and hope for the best, and then roll the transfer. And then next week I can have 2 and I can do a bit more surgery ahead of 32. So we'll see.
Listen, our luck's been holding out so far, so I think. By the way, this isn't advice to anybody that's watching to do this, and we're just discussing the possibility of it. I mean, I'm sure there'll be a few of you out there that are going to do it and then just rip us when it pays off. But yeah, I think I'm nervous about that blank, and I'm nervous about bringing a player in that, you know, what happens if you bring him in and he blanks? Your team's then weighted. Do you know what I mean? Because you're worried about next week. You're like, do you get rid of him before the blank? Or yeah, I think I'd rather, if I could manage it somehow, it'd be nice to get Jesus in. Like the form he looks like he's in, would be great to get him in at the minute. But
I would like that. I could do Tony straight to Jesus. That would be delicious.
Yeah, I mean, we're lucky because I've got the 3 Arsenal, so I'd need to I'd probably need to do a tweak to get him in. But I think yeah, I think I would like that. I think he looks good. He looks really good. Like the eye test. They're playing Liverpool, which we've just seen are really in all great shapes at the minute. And yeah, it's that's the thing that worries me though. I genuinely, my brain think this is the type of game that Arsenal will absolutely love, right? Because watching that game against City, like Liverpool's midfield looks so slow that I feel like a team like Arsenal, who are similar to like a Brighton, who attack, are going to steamroll right over the top of them. But then again, we've seen before how Liverpool can, you know, combat stuff like that, and also do a bit of damage himself after, you know, pumping Man United 7-0. So it's interesting. I like the idea of maybe rolling a transfer if you don't need massive surgery, and then you've got 2 for next week to play with. But I'm also not worried overly much about taking a -4, because I've seen how much the ground that we've gained just by, you know, being a bit more proactive rather than reactive.
Well, I think you've sort of reassured me and put me back to Monday, Danny, that was all about rolling the transfer and not going for Haaland. Whenever, you know, FPL mate always puts out his 100 experts thing, I always reply to that with my early thoughts of what I'm going to do, and I can screenshot it and show it. It said roll the transfer, captain. I can't remember who said the captain was, probably Kane, and and that's that. But it's just as the week goes on, seeing him in training, that's where it's come from. 100%, I'm not bringing him back to sort of like 50-50. So maybe after this conversation, it's going to go back towards that 100%, because I would love to roll, or even go for someone like Jesus, or get rid of one of my blankers without having to take a -4. I don't really want to take the -4, but
yeah, I just think it's not too stressful just to allow it to slide. Like I can't imagine, he might get 4 goals. I mean, who knows? Realistically, he's capable of anything, but I think at the same time that hoping that he won't damage us too much is probably one of the safer ways to go about it, because I feel like you're going to have to do some real surgery to get him back, and then you're going to have to then do surgery to take him out again, you know what I mean, at a later date. So it's not out of the realms of possibility not to have him in your team. I don't think it's the worst decision. With that in mind, like, what's your thoughts on captaincy? I know you just mentioned that you probably go for Kane. It's a bit of a weird one. I mean, I probably wouldn't be me, but talk us through your reasoning for that one.
Roughly, everyone that I'll talk about has a pro and a con. Like, so Rashford's the obvious one because of the form, and they're playing against Everton. It's just the early kickoff syndrome that gets me every time. Like, I don't like really captaining a 12 o'clock on a Saturday player. So, but he's the safe pick. Like, if I'm talking about wanting to sort of protect the rank and all that, then I would go with him. So we'll see. I don't know why. I just stuck it on Kane just as I was making my team for this week. Kane, I don't mind either. I think Brighton aren't as solid as they've been in the past. However, Spain, Kane didn't look that great in the last game against Everton. Spurs didn't look great in most of the game. So I wouldn't really go for Kane. Watkins is such a good shout that everyone's talking about this week. He's obviously been so consistent, and I like it. I think I would be going Rashford, Watkins, Kane would be my order at the moment. Forest, I've been reading that they've conceded the most penalties this season in the Premier League, so that is good for Ollie, and just his form. But a lot of people are talking about the fact that he doesn't really haul, he doesn't really get your double-digit hauls like some other players like Rashford would. Maybe he's due one. Maybe this is the week he's going to get a 15-pointer. Still relatively low owned. So my short answer is I don't know. It'll probably be between Rashford and Watkins. I can't see any transfers I make that I would captain them. If I bring in Haaland, I would just go back to the usual, Danny, and be like, I'm not captaining him because everyone's going to captain and I'll pick somebody else. So if I brought in Haaland, I would go Rashford definitely, because everyone will be going Haaland. If I don't bring in Haaland, then I'll maybe go away from Rashford and go to Watkins.
I'm interested. So I feel like for me, Saka is really jumping out because scored twice against Liverpool last time. He's on penalties. We've seen that. It's not adverse the idea that Liverpool defence is not as leaky and can give away penalties. So I would be tempted. I also like the idea of Ollie Watkins, and you can't ignore Rashford. Everton, Man United and everyone's a bit of a weird fixture because I think in the last 3 or 4 games, I think it's been 1 draw, 1 win to Everton, and two wins to Man United. So, and Rashford did score in the 3-1 win. So yeah, I mean, as always, I like Rashford. I think you cannot dismiss him with the form he's in at the minute. He's unbelievable, but yeah, I'm just leaning a little bit towards Saka. I'll probably talk myself out of it before we finish this video, to be honest. But I think that's probably where I'm lying. I mean, Rashford scored in the last game against them, but I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. Dicey's got them. I mean, he's not exactly made them amazing, but he's showed them up a wee bit. And Man United look a bit rocky. Apparently, they've not scored since apart from that game against Brentford, that was it. But since before that, they hadn't scored until that Carabao Cup final. So if they're not banging the goals in, it's one of those ones. It is a slight worry.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting week. I think there'll be a lot of swings because it will really depend on how many minutes Haaland plays, if he plays, and then because he's going to be so heavily captained regardless, and then everyone else is going to maybe captain Rashford. So there's little opportunities. Like if you don't go for Haaland, it could really hurt you not owning him. if you own him and you don't captain him, it's not so bad if he does well. But imagine you don't bring in Haaland doesn't play, or he's on the bench or whatever, or he only scores 1 goal, but then you captain someone that's really low captained like Watkins or whatever, it could be really good. Didn't mean to do a mad salute there. But I don't know. I really like Rashford. Evan, you're saying is right. I think he will do well, but Watkins is the spicy pick. I think that would be really good if I've got the balls to do it.
I think I'm going to sit on Saka. I like Saka. I think
I like
takes penalties, capable of assists, definitely score goals. The only thing that's making me a little twinge is just that Liverpool are capable of throwing up some bizarre results against big teams. So it would be just like them to go and beat Arsenal, which I hope they don't, but it could happen. So yeah.
What about Jesus? If
I
say
mean,
I was to transfer him in,
get him in, man. Permo captain right to the end of the season. Set and forget.
It just worries me that he's not back up to. He was playing 90 minutes galore at the start of the season whenever he was fully fit. He only played 59 minutes against Leeds. Granted, he got 12 points, but is he
in 60
ready?
minutes and 12, what's he capable of doing in 90? Do you know what I mean?
I know, but it's like against a tougher opponent. Like I think I would always want to captain a player that I am certain is going to play 90 minutes. Rashford certain, Watkins certain, Kane certain, Haaland not certain, Jesus not certain, Saka you would say certain as long as he's over that illness he had. But he came on, didn't he, against Leeds? So you'd assume that he's all right. So, maybe not
Yeah, I
Jesus.
mean, and I'm kind of, I do tend to favour midfielders. I just think points slightly better. You know, like I think they get a goal or an assist, or likely, you know, they get a clean sheet. It feels like they're more capable of getting a decent point haul, unless it's maybe like you say, Ollie Watkins, who seems to be scoring a goal a game, or Haaland, who is capable of scoring 3-4 goals a game. So yeah, it's an interesting debate. It's probably one that me and you'll be discussing for the next couple of days, I would say, until the deadline. What, Saturday 11?
Yeah, it's Saturday this week. I was going to just ask you there as well. What are you thinking about, like this week's transfers? Just nothing then.
Probably nothing major. Probably nothing major. I mean, I'd like to switch out Shaw just to have full complement, but it's not the end of the world if I need to bench him. You know what I mean?
I don't think you even need to. Like, if we wait and see what the information is about his injury, but Castagna's got an all right fixture, so you can play those three as a back three, and then obviously decide who you want to bench out of the remaining players. They've all got good fixtures. It's a wee bit of a bench headache this week. You can bench Gabriel since he's away to Liverpool, and then I don't know, maybe bench Martinelli. I don't know. That's tough, man. You've got a wee bit of a headache. That's a good spot to be in. To be
I mean, I'm
honest.
okay with it. Like, I'm quite happy. I'm going to sit about and tinker with it and have a look. The options are there that I could swing from anything from rolling my transfer to doing a -4 to get 7 players in. So it's not, I'm hugely tempted to -4 just to try and get Jesus in there somewhere. But I don't really want to fox hold someone in just so I can get those points. I probably won't do anything too major unless I need to. So I feel like my squad's good enough to carry me through this game week, and then I can make a decision next game week. Like you say, Haaland is probably in my thoughts. I mean, the options are there. I could probably do what you don't want to do, which is get rid of Kane, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I think like you, I'm nervous about having that blank down the line because I've got De Gea and Kepa.
Yeah, no
My
goalkeeper.
goalkeepers, which is worrying. So that's something to think about as well. Like maybe I don't really like switching out goalkeepers, but that's another one if I don't do that free hit. So it's an interesting one. I mean, effectively, it's one of the positions that you could probably be the one you leave blank if you really needed to. If I played 10 outfield players and no goalie, it's not the end of the world. Providing any goalie I brought in gets a clean sheet. But it's just one of those things. I'll need to wait and see. I'm not overly enamoured with the idea of tinkering too much. I think my main focus will just be on picking the right squad, really. rather than making any major surgery at the minute. And then if I roll the 2 transfers to next week, it just gives me that little bit of leeway to move about. That gives me a chance to do objectively 3 transfers with a -4 if I want to, so just gives you that wee bit of tinkering space.
Yeah, another thing just on the goalkeepers is a lot of people are thinking now that Frank Lampard's back in charge at Chelsea that Kepa wouldn't be number 1. I don't see him being that ruthless and coming in and being like, Mendy was my goalkeeper before. Like, Mendy's not played for a long time. He didn't have good form in the World Cup. Kepa's been on good form. He's making good saves and stuff. So, but that was something that I was talking about if I was going to go Haaland and then do Kepa to steal. It's a problem that might occur down the line. Kepa might not be number 1. But I mean, I've got Raya. A lot of people have got Kepa plus Ward or somebody or Forster or whatever, a non-playing goalkeeper or a not very good goalkeeper is the other one. So I'm quite happy with if I keep Kepa, still got Raya, who's been good.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I think
You're the same. You've got a good goalkeeper obviously as well. So
yeah, it's one of those things to think about. Right, I think that's a good way to end it. Talking about Mad Frank coming back to Chelsea, which we won't get into because I'd be here all night talking about it. But yeah, good one, man. Enjoyed that, and hopefully all you guys enjoyed it too. Hit us with some comments. Let us know what you think. Hit us on Twitter. And yeah, thanks for watching, and have a good luck this game week.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.